The five diseases and seven injuries explained. What wise owl looks back really means in Qigong. So recently I posted a short showing wise owl looks back to cure five diseases and seven injuries, and it really took off. And so that tells me that people aren't just watching the movement, but people want to understand what it actually means. And I did as well, because I had a basic concept, but I wanted to dig deeper as well. And so today I want to explain, clearly and responsibly, doing the research what the five diseases and seven injuries mean in traditional Chinese medicine and how Qigong works with them, and why this movement has survived for centuries. It's been around, as we would say, forever. So first, I want to just for a quick point of clarification, when classical Qigong texts or, talk about curing diseases, they're not talking about named Western medical diagnosis. They're describing imbalances in the body's internal systems. It's what Chinese medicine calls the Zang organs. And um, the emotional and physical stresses that damage them over time. So think of this as prevention and regulation and restoration, and not necessarily as a medical cure claim. Let's talk about the foundation of traditional Chinese medicine, TCM and Qi. In traditional Chinese medicine, health is about the smooth flow of Qi. This is your vital energy. So it's about the smooth flow of qi through your organs and in your meridians in your body, which is your power lines, if you will. When your qi is blocked, or excessive or depleted, the body expresses that imbalance either physically, emotionally, or mentally. And so the five diseases refer to the five Zang organs. And the seven injuries refer to emotional stresses that damage those organs when they become extreme or chronic. Next, let's talk about the five diseases, which are the Zhang organ imbalances. First is the liver. This is the organ, right? The first is the liver, which is represented by the wood element. The liver governs the smooth flow of qi. Emotionally, it's connected to anger and frustration. When liver qi stagnates, it can show up as headaches, tension in the neck and shoulders, irritability or depression, eye strain, and or vision issues. And so movements like the wise owl gently rotates the spine and the neck, helping to release stagnation and restore flow. And as I was preparing to, record this video and I was looking this over, this first one, I actually experienced this. I think, I do the movement obviously, but I'm going to do it more because I have some specific things that are going on within my life, and I think number one is really going to help me to resolve them because I periodically I go through some irritability and maybe even a little depression, and I have tension in my neck and shoulder for sure, which I'm going to the doctor for. But ever since I increased my Tai Chi and Qigong practice, those elements have reduced. However, like lately, I've been under pressure with work and just trying to, move forward in life. And so some of that tension in my shoulder has come back. And so I'm going to actually spend more time doing this movement um, to try to resolve that. The second organ is the heart, and it is represented by the fire element. The heart governs the mind and the spirit. It's what TCM calls Shin. When the heart is overstimulated by excessive joy, stress, or emotional agitation, it can show up as insomnia, anxiety, palpitations, right? And mental restlessness. So slow, mindful Qigong movements calm the nervous system and settle the shin. Hugely beneficial. The third organ is the spleen, and this is represented or represents the earth element. The spleen governs digestion. both physical digestion and mental digestion. Excessive worry or overthinking injures the spleen. Let me say that again. Excessive worry or overthinking injures the spleen, and that leads to fatigue, brain fog, digestive discomfort, and heaviness in the body. This is why Qigong emphasizes grounding breath and intention. And so if you're experiencing some of these things, and so the whole point here is that let's say you've been tired and you have some brain fog and you feel the weight of the world on you. What we're saying here is that this movement has the ability to relieve these ailments that you have. And if it relieves these ailments or these things that you feel in your body, that means you'll have a better outlook, right? So it just quote unquote cured you, right? It cured your ailments, right? Your quote unquote disease, or in this case, the organ that has dis-ease just means that it is not easy. It is dis-ease, right? It is something is wrong with it. It is not in a state of ease. It is not in a healthy state, if you will. The fourth organ is are the lungs. They're associated with the metal element. The lungs govern respiration and the immune response. They're deeply affected by grief and sadness. Okay. And grief and sadness can manifest into shallow breathing, frequent illness, skin problems, and low energy. And so gentle opening movements help expand the chest and restore lung qi. The fifth organ is kidneys, and it is associated with the water element. And so the kidneys store your foundational energy. It's what TCM calls Jing. Fear, chronic stress, or overexertion can weaken the kidneys. And this can show up as lower back pain, fatigue, hearing issues, and lack of willpower. And so the twisting and spinal movements stimulate kidney energy and support longevity. And keep in mind, when you're doing this movement, your waist and below is static. It stays still. You're only twisting or torquing from the waist up. And so actually, so it ends up being your waist in your upper body and your neck and shoulders, of course, right? And so that's where all of the action is happening. And below your waist is your foundation that stays still. You want to keep your hips to the front as much as possible. If you start to dip your hip out, then you're doing the movement improperly, basically. So you want to make sure you maintain that posture. The next thing we want to cover are the seven injuries, and these are basically emotional stresses. The seven injuries are emotional states that become harmful when they're excessive or unresolved. So first, we have anger, which is associated with the liver. Second, we have excessive joy or overstimulation. This is associated with the heart. Okay, once again, we're talking about these seven injuries. These are emotional stresses. These emotional stresses, these seven injuries, right, are associated with a part of the body. So let's once again, anger is associated with the liver. So if you have excessive joy or overstimulation, it's going to affect your heart. If you have worry and pensiveness, pensiveness is like dreaming, like overly dreaming in thought, but like maybe in a sad way, right? You just sad thoughts, just deep in thought, sadly, right? That's going to affect your spleen. If you have grief and sadness, that's going to affect your lungs. Fear has an effect on your kidneys. Shock or fright or that is going to have an effect on your heart and your kidneys. And overthinking or obsession with something or things that is going to have an effect on your spleen. And so Qigong doesn't suppress emotion. It teaches your body how to process and release the emotion. Makes sense? So if I'm doing this movement and I have anger in if I have anger, but I do the movement and I calm myself down to allow the anger to dissipate, then I will have a positive effect on that resulting organ, in this case, the liver, as an example. So why does Wise Owl look back matter? Like why does this matter? Wise Owl looks back is powerful because it gently twists the spine, it stimulates the neck and the nervous system, it massages the internal organs, and it balances the left and the right, your yin and your yang. In classical practice, this movement is used to clear stagnation, to calm the mind, and restore harmony between the organs. That is why this one movement appears across multiple Qigong systems. So, when you hear five diseases and seven injuries, understand this. It's ancient language describing modern problems. Okay. Stress, anxiety, fatigue, emotional overload, and disconnection from the body. These are modern problems. Qigong gives us a way, you and I, to return to balance slowly, intentionally, and safely. Hey, if this explanation helped you to see the movement differently, let me know in the comments. And if you want a deeper breakdown of Qigong or Tai Chi and internal strength, subscribe to the channel, stay connected, and drop me a note if you like. Hope everyone has a great day. See you next time.